This is Bob Jensen in Prince Edward Island, and you're listening to Freewheelin Folk with Jim Marino at CFMU in Hamilton, 93.3 Worldwide Radio.
Well, that was Bob Jensen on tape, and here's Bob Jensen live. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Good morning, Jim. How are you?
Well, hanging in there today, having fun today. Got a Folk Alliance conference special. Had a lot of artists this week. I was busy like you, 24 hours a day, yeah. It seems. And let's start with an award-winning novel, Matchbox Funeral. We know Bob Jensen from a lot of his poetry and a lot of his tours with Tony McManus, and a new album that's come out that I've played already. And my goodness, let's talk about the book first. I didn't know about the book.
Well, I wrote a novel called The Matchbox Funeral, and I think that would have been about 26 years ago, and it placed second in the annual Atlantic Writers Competition, which was a great surprise to me. And it's a novel, but it's really just a retelling of my childhood growing up in Dalhousie, New Brunswick, a little mill town way up in the north, and all the adventures that we get up to. And I guess people describe it as being sort of dark humor. And so it's an odd little book. It's written for adults, but it's about a kid, from the time he can remember, 2-3 years old, up through the end of grade 6.
Wow. Good one. Listen, Blackumphalosie has got in touch with you and been doing some work. What are they up to in terms of Bob Jensen?
Well, those guys are fantastic. I don't know if your audience would be familiar with them or not. They're, if I had to compare them to another group, the closest one I could think of would be Ladysmith Blackumphalosie. They're an absolutely brilliant a cappella group from Zimbabwe, and they're friends of mine. I've been working with them, in my day job as a booking agent. Mm-hmm. God, it must be 20 years. And, with quite a few of the artists I work with, we've become friends, and we don't always just talk about work. And so one day I sent them a poem, and I said, hey, guys, I've got this poem. What would you think about setting it to music? And they said, oh, we'd love to. So they set the poem to music, and it was just fantastic. What they did, and we got to talking about it, and they really seemed to like what I was writing. So, over a couple of years, we were collaborating, going back and forth. We got a bunch of stuff done, and we said, well, why don't we just put out an album? So, in March, they're going to be releasing a full album of my poetry, which has been set to music, all of it a cappella. So I'm really excited about that. They've done a fantastic job.
Well, seeing as you've mentioned poetry, let's go to Bob Jensen's poetry. You're well known for it. And how did you get started on that road, Bob?
Well, I've been writing all of my life, but I got so busy, when the kids were little. We have 3 kids, and I also had started a business, a booking agency, and I was so incredibly busy that I just did not have the time to put into writing that I would like to have. So I kind of got away from it for a while, but now my kids are grown up, and about 5 years ago I started writing again, and things started to happen. People seemed to like what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I was invited to England to perform at a festival there. That just came completely out of the blue, and that went really well. And I've released 3 audio books of spoken word poetry, and I was actually working on the 4th one when I did a major U-turn and made this record of folk music that's just come out now.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done a little bit of performing in Canada, and I did a really nice tour of Australia a year ago with Tony McManus, the great Celtic guitarist, and we had a wonderful time. We were given a headline spot at the Port Fairy Folk Festival, one of the real plum festivals in Australia. And it was a 70-minute set, and it featured artists from 3 different continents performing my music and poetry. So we had Shane Howard from Australia, for example, and Tim Chason from the East Pointers, from here on PEI, and Tony did a song, and so that was really a great thrill. And it was the first time that I'd ever performed really in front of such a large audience. It was a huge tent, and it was just packed to the rafters. But we really had fun. So I continue to work on the poetry. That's my main thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was scheduled to go back to Australia, and I was supposed to go to Europe last summer, and I had dates in Newfoundland and Alberta, and a whole bunch of stuff lined up. But like everybody else, COVID kicked in, and everything got canceled.
Yeah.
So I am hoping to get back overseas in the next year or so. I'm hoping to get back to Australia in 2022, and also to England and Denmark within the next year or so.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Oh, just
Yeah.
lovely. Just lovely.
Yeah.
We're going to get to this album, I promise. And
No props.
I'd say hi to Tony McManus if you ever get in touch with him. He's him
I will.
and I have been together for a long time now, and be nice to say hi to him again. So,
Sure.
listen. All this is going on while you have this Jensen Music International, as you call it, a day job.
Yep.
And I know you've been really good to the Freewheelin Folk Show with artists and sending stuff that we need to get on the air.
Yeah.
Who's involved in all that? And you got a lot of artists in your stable there too, don't you?
Yeah, we've got about 25 or 27 artists right now. We work primarily in folk and roots.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, over the years, we've worked with people like Jerry Jeff Walker, Sylvia Tyson, Pete Seeger, Johnny Clegg from South Africa,
Right.
Mick Taylor from the Rolling Stones. We've done some tours with Bruce Coburn. I work with James Keelahan, Tony McManus. So I'm kind of lucky in that, as a poet, because I've been working in the music business for 25 or 30 years, I know a lot of people, and we've become quite good friends. I've become good friends with a lot of these people, so I'm able to call them up and say, "Hey, I've got an idea. I'm making a record. Would you like to be on it?" And almost everybody says, "Yeah, sure. What do you want me to do?" So I have had some fantastic collaborations. I've been really lucky, and as a matter of fact, the next spoken word project that I'm working on will be called Other Voices, and it will have artists from all over the world, from 4 continents, will be performing my music and poetry, and of course I'll be performing some as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm a jack of all trades and master of none.
Oh, you're a master of plenty. I got to tell you, I'm really thrilled with this album. Let's get to for the sake of the song. And you, as you mentioned, you did have a lot of help with James Keelahan and some other people. And finally, it's a not a poetry one, but a singing one. And let's start with, first of all, the notion that you really wanted to do something like this for a change. What made you want to go this route this time?
Well, I had been thinking about recording a couple of songs, and it had been so long since I had done any singing. Literally, it had been like, I think, more than 25 years, and I had a lot of reservations as to whether I could do it. But we were in the studio recording some spoken word poetry, and I said, let's try a couple of songs. So we recorded Tomorrow Is a Long Time by Bob Dylan and Colorado Girl by Townes Van Zandt. And to my genuine surprise, they turned out pretty good. And it was so much fun to be making music again after so long that I said, look, why don't we just put the poetry thing on hold for now, and let's make a record of music. And I didn't have a bunch of new songs, my own songs. So I thought, well, what I'd like to do would be to record some of my favorite singer-songwriters, from a whole lifetime of listening. And what I wanted to do was not kind of like a greatest hits. If I was going to do Dylan, I wasn't going to do Blowing in the Wind. I was going to do Tomorrow Is a Long Time. And same with Leonard Cohen. Rather than, another version of Hallelujah or Suzanne, I picked Who by Fire, which I think was released in something like 74. It's an old song.
Right.
And so the idea was that I would find great songwriters, but look for songs that, unless you happen to be a big fan of the singer-songwriter genre, that they would probably be, most of them would probably be a bit obscure, for most people. I've joked with some people that they may be the best songs you've never heard, because some of them, people will definitely have heard, but there are some that even my friends who are into the same kind of music as I am said, "Oh, geez, that's a nice song. I never heard that song before." So that's exactly what I was going for, and I wanted to try to. I didn't want to be a karaoke machine,
right.
But at the same time, I didn't want to completely reinvent the wheel. I wanted to try to honor the feeling of the original songs, but also to put our own stamp on it.
Right.
And I had help from some wonderful people. And again, something else I've been joking about is that, when you work with a group of people who are 10 times as talented as you are, they can make you sound pretty good.
Yeah. Do you remember some of the names? Who helped you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Emma LeBlanc from the Acadian group Vishten. She contributed field organ and penny whistle and vocals, and her field organ is really cool. It's an Etsy from World War II, and it folds up into a giant wooden suitcase. And they would cart these things around during World War II so that they could have religious services in the field where there was no electricity. So it's run with a foot pump.
Oh, interesting.
And James Keelahan very generously performed a duet with me on his song My Skies. And Ray Cooper from Oyster Band, the former Oyster Band cellist, he contributed all the strings, and he was in Sweden. And we had Chris Corrigan recorded, engineered, produced, and played guitar on all the tracks. And he is a fantastic PEI musician who's worked with Lenny Gallant and Rita McNeil and Natalie McMaster, people like that. Doug Cox played slide guitar and dobro, and Doug is out on Vancouver Island. You're probably familiar with him.
Oh, yes.
Just an incredible string player. And then John Weaver, who's been a friend of mine since I managed the New Brunswick group Modabo many years ago. They were a fantastic group who were a bit like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They did fantastic harmonies.
Yep.
And so anyway, John contributed some organ and some piano, and he arranged some just wonderful harmonies. So I was thrilled to have all these people, who are friends and who are also just fantastic musicians.
Wow.
I feel very lucky to have been able, as somebody who, has no track record at all, really, as a musician, I released my only other collection of folk music 35 years ago. So I was very lucky that all these people were just happy to get on board and do this. And I don't know if you noticed, I named the album for the sake of the song Volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having such fun that I thought, geez, I really have to do this again.
And we hope you do
someday. So yeah, well, and it's funny too. Like the title says it all, for the sake of the song. I don't have any aspirations really as a musician. I don't have any expectations that I'm going to sell thousands of units. It was done for the sake of the song. It was done for the joy of making music, and because these are such fantastic songs that they deserve to be sung. Some of them, like the current single, which is doing really well right now, by the way, Pastures of Plenty.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting airplay across Canada, and it's getting picked up in England and Australia. But, it's an 80-year-old song.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds as fresh and relevant today.
Yes.
Really, I'm sure as it would have in 1941 when Woody wrote it, because a lot of those issues about migrant workers, in particular, I mean, they're still front and center today.
Yeah.
So, and Woody is a great hero of mine too. When I was a kid of 15, I read his autobiography, Bound for Glory, and it's about this guy who was hitchhiking around with a guitar and busking and writing songs and working odd jobs. And I thought, oh my God, man, I want to do that. And so I did. I went out on the road for 3 or 4 years and lived out of a tent and worked odd jobs and did some busking and played the odd gig. And so Woody was a huge influence on me, both musically and in terms of his philosophy. So I thought, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to do a collection of cover songs, I really have to have a Woody Guthrie song in there.
Well, Bob Jensen, as far as we're concerned, in the industry, you're a mainstay in the folk and roots area, and this just adds to the reputation. So my congratulations to you. And
you're very kind. I thank you.
We're going to get on some tunes from For the Sake of the Song, Volume 1, and hopefully down the road, when things get better, you'll be here in the studio talking to me and playing some stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. Take care, my friend.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Bob. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bob Jensen on 93.3 CFMU, For the Sake of the Song, Volume 1.
I'm standing in the doorway, my head bowed in my hands, not knowing where to sit, not knowing where I stand. My father looms above me, for him there is no rest. My mother's arms enfold me and hold me to her breast. They say you've been out wandering, they say you've traveled far. Sit down, young stranger, and tell us who you are. The room is all gone misty, my thoughts are all a-spin. Sit down, young stranger, and tell us where you've been. I've been up to the mountains, I walked down by the sea. I never questioned no one questioned me. My love was given freely, and oft times was returned. I never came to borrow, I only came to learn. Sometimes it did get lonely, but it taught me how to cry. And laughter came too easy for life to pass me by. Never had a dollar that I didn't earn with pride. 'cause I had a million daydreams to keep me satisfied. And will you gather daydreams, or will you gather wealth? How can you find your fortune if you cannot find yourself? My mother's eyes grow misty, there's a trembling in her hand. Sit down, young stranger, I do not understand. And will you try to tell us you've been too long at school, that knowledge is not needed and power does not rule, that war is not the answer, that young men should not die? Sit down, young stranger, I'll wait for your reply. The answer is not easy, for souls are not reborn. To wear the crown of peace, you must wear a crown of thorns. If Jesus had a reason, I'm sure he would not tell. They treated him so badly, how could he wish them well? The parlor now is empty, there's nothing left to say. My father has departed, my mother's gone to pray. There's rockets in the meadow and ships out on the sea. The answer's in the forest, carved upon a tree. John loves Mary, does anyone love me? It's a mighty hard road my poor hands have hold. My poor feet have wandered a hot, dusty road. Out of your dust bowl and westward we roll. Your deserts is hot and your mountains are cold.
I've worked in your orchards of peaches and prunes, slept on the ground by the light of your moon. On the edge of your city you'll see us and them. We come with the dust, we go with the wind. California, Arizona, I've made all your crops. Then north up to Oregon to harvest your hops. Dig the beets from your ground, cut the grapes from your vine, to set on your table your light sparkling wine. plenty from dry desert ground. From the Grand Coulee Dam where the water runs down. Every state in this union us migrants has been. And we'll work in our fight, and we'll fight until we win. And it's always we've rambled that river and I. All alone your green valley I will work till I die. And my land I'll defend with my life if need be. 'Cause my pastures of plenty must always be free.
Sherlock Holmes, right around the corner. Oh my, oh my. Bob Jensen, one more time.
I'm going out to Denver, see if I can't find. I'm going out to Denver, see if I can't find that lovin' Colorado girl of mine. The promise in her smile shames the mountains tall. Oh, the promise in her smile shames the mountains tall. She bring the sun to shine in, tell the rain to fall. It's been a long time, Mama, since I heard you call my name. It's been a long time, Mama, since I heard you call my name. And I got to see my Colorado girl again. Tomorrow, Mama, don't you cry. I'll be there tomorrow, Mama, don't you cry. Got to kiss these lonesome island blues goodbye. I'm going out to Denver, see if I can't find. Yes, I'm going out to Denver, see if I can't find that lovin' Colorado